But I said, if you gave me Mahomes, if you gave me Lamar Jackson with his great legs and Mahomes' great arm, when you give me Baker Mayfield, who would I want? I would want Baker Mayfield, and the reason why is because Baker Mayfield.
I really think that now this is the worst case scenario for the San Francisco 49ers, is that they're going to have to cut ties with Jimmy Garoppolo if I were them.
What?
Oh my God!
Wow,
Man!
In any event, Kyle Gibson is definitely my NL Cy Young Award winner. Rock on, Giddy. And even
No way!
Oh my God! Loro, I think you're muted, buddy.
I can't hear him.
Okay, here we go. Welcome, everyone, to Sports Weekly. I hope everybody had a great night. I mean, it's going to be a great night for sports talk and more. NFL draft is coming up, along with my guys, Isaiah Leung and Ben Kurse. I am Loro Antonio. I know there was a last-minute show this past Saturday as James Gonzalez filled in for me hosting that show because that was a Oakland A's special show, but we were not going to get to baseball today because this show is about football and a bit of basketball. Isaiah, how are you doing tonight?
What's up, guys? I am in an amazing mood right now. You know, my Lakers just pulled off one of our wildest victories of the season. Aaron Rodgers is a Jet. Finally, man, all the saga is officially over. The NFL draft is in a couple of days, and the Milwaukee Bucks are on the brink of elimination. I mean, this might be honestly one of the wildest sports days we've seen in a long, long time. All the games, all the news that happened. I mean, it's crazy right now, but it's going to get crazier as the week keeps going. So I can't wait, man. I'm so glad we're doing the show tonight. Welcome back, Loro. You know, we've missed you the last few shows. I know you haven't been on in a while on Sports Weekly, so it's great to have you back. But looking forward to a great show, and, you know, I can't wait, man, especially for the mock draft special part of the show.
Ben, how's it going? I mean, it looks like you're in a good mood with your Boston Celtics. I mean, they're a game away from advancing.
Yeah, hope you guys are doing well. You know, I know you guys probably are excited with the Lakers win, but I had the Boston trifecta yesterday. There's nothing better than that. You had the Red Sox, you had the Bruins, and you had the Celtics. And, you know, it's the best time of year specifically, too, because, you know, a couple of days ago I had that, and, you know, I put on Twitter and I said, hopefully that all three win. But I got 2 out of the 3, so I'm like, hopefully they completed yesterday. You know, obviously my Red Sox come first in terms of my fandom. Obviously, I'll talk more about them this week. For the viewership people out there, my Kicking It with Cruz show this week will be this Wednesday night. I'll have that for you guys. I'll also have some NHL playoffs and obviously some NFL draft stuff and stuff to look forward to. So keep an eye on that. But I'm doing good. Obviously, really proud of the Celtics. Dejounte Murray now is suspended, so that's obviously a big thing for us specifically. The Bruins, of course, are really. It's just you can't really beat it right now. The vibes right now for my teams, but you know, we'll see how things go. They got obviously 3-1. You know, job's not finished, as the great Kobe said. So I'm doing good. You know, the weather's getting better here, and yeah, doing good.
Anyways, now, folks, with that being said, we're going to start with basketball here. We talk about the Lakers' sterling win in Game 4 over the Memphis Grizzlies. I was talking with Ben off air that this was an intense game. It was intense. There were moments that the Lakers blew the lead, made me nervous, but you know what? This team fought hard. I'm really proud of how of the fight that they've shown, and I can't wait to potentially close it out on Wednesday night for Game 5 in Memphis. I want to close it out so badly, but in my head, I'm thinking like I want to close it out at home in Game 6. But you know what? I'm going to say this: forget Game 6. I want to close it out in the FedEx Forum in Memphis. Quiet that crowd on Wednesday night. I want to do that instead of potentially closing it out at home. I think it would be nice for the Lakers to close it out at home. I always felt like it, but I feel like that if you have an opportunity to close out a series, you got to do it. And did I have the Lakers winning this series? I did, but we'll see where this goes. Isaiah, you and I are happy right now. And LeBron James had a near triple-double. Anthony Davis was fantastic tonight. Austin Reeves played his best basketball. I thought there was a moment that I saw and I was like, Austin Reeves airballed that three, and he should have not made that shot. But you know what? Austin Reeves was clutch today.
Wow, Ben and Laurel, what a win by the Lakers. I mean, this was probably the most wild and wacky game I've seen in a long, long time. It was just back and forth, back and forth. It looked early that the Lakers were just going to take complete control and just run away with it. But then the Lakers took their foot off the gas pedal and they let Memphis back in the game. And it was a 2-point game at halftime. Memphis went on a 15-1 run to end the first half, and then it was just back and forth, and it was really close and really intense. Like you mentioned, Loro, the Lakers were actually down by 2 after John Morant made an unbelievable pass to Desmond Bane for the layup with about 6 seconds left in the game. And at that point, I was like, oh, crap, the Lakers are probably going to lose the game because LeBron James had an awful possession where he dribbled the ball with until there was 7 seconds left in the shot clock, and then drove to his right, and then got doubled, tried to find Rui Hachimura. He found him, and then Rui Hachimura got stuffed, and then the Grizzlies got on the run, and I thought Reeves should have fouled Morant earlier because I would have rather taken my chances at the line and gotten free throw them, also more time on the clock. But, Desmond Bane laid it up, and I thought the Lakers were for sure going to lose. And then LeBron James, I mean, this was probably the game that put him in Lakers lore forever because the guy drives to the hoop and with about 2 seconds left, throws it high up in the air, and I thought Jaren Jackson was going to block it. He came really close to blocking it, and then when he didn't block it, it rolled around the rim a couple of times, and then it dropped in, and it was just an absolutely insane shot. And that was probably for all the people that have said that, hey, LeBron James is not clutch. LeBron quieted them tonight with that shot. And then in overtime, LeBron just put the Lakers on his back. He got clutch bucket after clutch bucket after clutch bucket, especially that and one where he just overpowered the heck out of Dillon Brooks for the and one bucket. But this was all about LeBron James. LeBron James, 22 points, 20 rebounds. He was exceptional down the stretch. I want to give credit to D'Angelo Russell. I mean, that guy, if he doesn't hit those back-to-back threes, the Lakers lose, plain and simple. Anthony Davis, he came on strong late. He only had 12 points and 11 rebounds. But yeah, I think 7 points late in the fourth quarter and overtime. And Austin Reeves had 23 points, and he was just outstanding from start of the game to the end of the game. But the Lakers, what they need to do is forget LeBron running the point guard, forget Russell running the offense as the point guard. The Lakers need to stick with Reeves as the point guard because when they have Reeves as the point guard, they're just so much more effective, and the offense just runs so much smoothly with Reeves running the show. I think that's what the Lakers need to do. Take the ball out of LeBron's hands, take the ball out of Russell's hands because we know they can play off the ball and they can be dynamic off the ball. Put the ball in Reeves' hands and let him control the offense and let him dictate what's going on because there's so much more player movement. The ball moves more fluid when he's the point guard for the Lakers running the offense. When the offense stagnated, it was Schroeder or LeBron that was running it. But when the offense was running, he's fluidly, it was running smoothly. Reeves was the guy that was orchestrating it. So he was just outstanding tonight. But I think the biggest story in this game, LeBron James. The guy, the Lakers don't win if LeBron James doesn't put the team on his back late in the fourth quarter and in overtime. And, he shut all the Grizzlies up. He completely humbled Dylan Brooks. And, he's been on a mission the last couple games just to prove Dylan Brooks wrong and make him be humiliated after all the trash talk that he talked. And, this series, I'm not going to say it's over just yet because I made that mistake before. But I think it's close to over, and I think the Lakers will either wrap it up in Game 5 or they're going to wrap it up in Game 6. And they just look way more powerful than the Memphis Grizzlies right now.
Oh, absolutely, Isaiah. You're right about that. But what was your thoughts on Dylan Brooks's flagrant on LeBron? I thought that was dirty, and he should have been suspended.
I'm kind of glad that he wasn't suspended because I feel like every time he's on the court, he has a negative impact on the game. This guy, I don't know why, like everybody hypes him up. I mean, from what I've seen of the guy, he's probably the most overrated player in the NBA. Yeah, his defense is all right. It's not great. LeBron showed tonight that he can't guard him. Reeves showed that, Brooks can't guard him. Russell's the same thing. His defense is all right. It's not great. His shooting leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, every time he takes an open shot, he bricks so much that he probably could build a second Crypto.com arena with all the bricks that he shoots. And then, he just is not reliable on offense. There's really nothing that he does well. So I thought he should have been suspended because I thought that, that was a punch right to the groin. But I'm kind of glad that he wasn't just because I thought the Grizzlies are a better team without him on the basketball court.
Absolutely. But anyways, Ben, what was your thoughts on Game 4 of the Lakers-Grizzlies series?
This series is over. I think that really this was the Grizzlies' best chance to, make this a series. I think the Lakers, and obviously I picked the Grizzlies to win this series, and it's not because my bias side that I don't like the Lakers, but I thought specifically it was going to be the coaching. That was going to be the difference. I still don't know how the coach is going to be down the stretch in terms of the next couple of series, but what the Lakers have done to me, that's shown at least to me, is they just have the more powerful weapons. Ja Morant can only do what he can do for so long. But in the NBA playoffs, it just can't be a one-man wrecking crew. It's really hard to do that, and be able to just take a team against LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and D'Angelo Russell, and all these guys, to make it happen. I mean, yeah, we talked about playoff Jimmy Butler in Miami. I mean, he almost did against us last year. But there's not many guys that can be able to just put their team like that on their back and consistent. The Grizzlies had a chance right at the end. They had that block. Bane had that layup. But I also thought that LeBron James went way too easy to make that even layup potential happen. And you give him props where props are due. He's like, listen, I'm going to take that last shot and be the hero that's needed. And when I saw that shot going, I'm like, yeah, the Grizzlies, there's no chance of turning around and winning this series because it just takes a little bit. I've seen it happen when LeBron's in the Cavs against Marcellus for years. There's just a switch in the playoffs that LeBron is just absolutely just unstoppable. And I knew that when it came to the overtime that the Grizzlies specifically, they missed the presence of guys like Steven Adams, especially against the boards. There's, Jaren Jackson can do what he can. But the Grizzlies really need to be at full health to compete against a team like the Lakers. And, really it's, Darvin Ham really doesn't have to do a lot outside of just letting kind of Anthony Davis and LeBron do their thing. And I thought coaching might be more of a bigger impact, if things come to the case where if the Lakers move on, more than likely than not, he'll probably be used more, under pressure against a team like maybe the Canes or a team like Golden State. But yeah, you guys definitely that was a really crazy game, and I do want to obviously talk about that Bucks Heat game because obviously those are two teams that are obviously in my conference, and that was one hell of a game as well too. So we got a couple of good games of hoops, and congrats to you guys to your Lakers.
Anyways, now guys, we got to talk about Jimmy Buckets. Had a Herculean game. 53 points, helped the 8 seed Miami Heat rally back from a 13-point deficit to win game 4, 119-114, to take a commanding 3-1 series lead over the 1-seeded Bucks. This kind of will remind me about something. This will remind me of how the 8-seeded Warriors beat the 1-seeded Mavs back in 2007. Because, sometimes the number 1 team doesn't even go that far. Because sometimes you got to play at the right time. And the Miami Heat are one of those teams that are playing great basketball at the right time. And I say that because, look, this team took a step back this year. This team dealt with so many injuries and all that. But when they got healthy, this Miami Heat team put it together, and they found a way to play together at the right time. Isaiah, I know that this has been it's been an up and down season for the Miami Heat, but the way they're playing, you got to give them a lot of credit. But I think if they beat a Giannis-less Bucks team, then this tells me something. I want the Bucks to be that next NBA dynasty because the Bucks were the champions before, and I know Giannis is the face of the NBA. But without Giannis, the Bucks are nowhere.
The Milwaukee Bucks are officially in big trouble. I don't think any of us thought it after game 1, after Miami stole game 1 in Milwaukee. I don't think any of us thought of it after game 3 when the Bucks had no Giannis and they came out flat and they got drubbed in that game. But after tonight, after Milwaukee gave Miami their best shot, and Jimmy Butler with an absolutely Herculean performance tonight, 53 points or 56 points. 56, yeah, 9 rebounds. He just laid it all out there for the Miami Heat and, single-handedly carried the Heat to this win. The Milwaukee Bucks are close to being finished. They had Giannis playing tonight. They were red hot from 3 early in this game. They had a big lead in this game. They were up by, I think, 13 in the third quarter. And the Miami Heat just kept fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. And Jimmy Butler just kept saying, hey, you guys might have Giannis, who's the best player on the court right now. You might have, Drew Holiday and Middleton and all of the role players that are better than our role players. But, I got heart. I'm a warrior. And he showed that out tonight. He was terrific tonight. The Bucks just couldn't stop him whatsoever. They tried to double team him. They tried to triple team him. They just couldn't stop him tonight. And the other guys came on strong, like Bam Adebayo. He was great late in the game, 15 points, 8 rebounds. Duncan Robinson had a couple of huge threes. Caleb Martin had a couple of huge baskets. Kyle Lowry had a clutch steal. The Milwaukee Bucks just completely collapsed down the stretch. And now when you think about the series, Miami's up 3-1. I think there is still a lot of doubt in a lot of people's heads that can Miami actually pull this off and win? I think it's going to come down to who wins game 6 because I expect Milwaukee to come back with a vengeance in game 5 because they desperately need it. And then game 6 is, I think, the telltale sign of who's going to win this series because whoever wins that one, if Miami wins it, they'll win it. But if Milwaukee wins it, then I think the Miami Heat are going to lose the series. But Milwaukee is in serious trouble right now. I feel like they overtook the Heat in the first game of the series. And then, after losing Giannis, it was just a big blow. But, I kept telling Ben, Loro, and everybody in our group chats that, hey, like the Boston Celtics, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Philadelphia 76ers should all hope and pray that the Miami Heat doesn't play them in round 1 because Miami right now, yeah, they're down. They haven't had the best regular season, but Miami is built for the playoffs. Playoff Jimmy Butler is a whole different beast, and he has shown that the last few games. And, their roster is just built for the postseason, and Eric Spoelstra is a tremendous tactical coach who is going to get his team ready for the postseason no matter what. So I kept saying, you don't want to play Miami in the first round because it's not your typical, 1-8 or 2-7 matchup. It's going to be a matchup that is going to be really hard. It's going to be really physical. It's going to be, really, really draining. And you want to save your energy for the second round, the conference finals, and the NBA finals if you get that far. And Milwaukee, I felt like they just overlooked the Heat. I felt like they overlooked the Heat. Giannis gets hurt, and it's just been an avalanche from the Miami Heat. But Jimmy Butler, oh my gosh, that guy proved tonight that he is a monster. He's a warrior, and nobody can ever question playoff Jimmy Butler again. And the Milwaukee Bucks, I don't know what you do from here now because they tried everything, and the Miami Heat have just answered back every time the Bucks try something new. But they better hope the home cooking works because if they get down early, the Heat are going to clamp down and they're going to win this series. Milwaukee, they're in trouble. That's all I'll say.
What about you, Ben? What's your thoughts on Jimmy Butler's performance in Game 4 against Milwaukee?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the Atlanta Hawks for beating the Heat in the playing game because if it wasn't for them, we would be playing the Miami Heat in the first round. And I think specifically that regardless if we probably be able to win that series because of the way that we've matched up, hard against them the last couple of years. But they fight and they will grind you. They not only will just grind you, they will grind you to the end. And I'm just like, let the Bucks have them in the first round, regardless of what's going to happen. I think many people are like, oh, the Bucks are probably going to win maybe in 6 or 7. Of course, the Giannis injury situation happened. But the one thing that I realized, at least in the end of the game, Mike Budenholzer was absolutely atrocious. He was essentially just letting the Bucks defense just let Jimmy Butler do anything that he wanted to do. Without Jimmy Butler having 56 plus points, there was nobody else on that Miami team this game had 20 plus points in this game. And the thing about play of Jimmy Butler is the guy down the stretch. I saw it against my Celtics last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. The game is on the line. The guy's just gonna keep going and going and going and going. Literally until like his body just completely just wears off on him. I mean, that game tonight reminded me of one of the games against the Lakers, even in the playoff bubble, where the guy just could completely just go off. I think this series. I said the Lakers Memphis series is over. I don't think this series is over just yet. Up 3-1. I think Giannis specifically coming off injury. I think the first game he was probably had a little bit of rust. So yeah, I think that I agree with Isaiah. I think that the Bucks extend this series next game, and then it really depends about Game 6. Game 6. If the Bucks somehow find a way to win Game 6, I think that the Bucks find a way to win Game 7. Because I think Game 7 is pretty much winner take all type. Everything with the marbles, them being in Milwaukee. But right now, Miami has all the momentum. And, they're a team right now specifically that everybody was just like, well, can they even, the way that they played against the Hawks in the playing game, they don't look like the same team. Like they look like the same in the regular season. Then they beat Chicago. I said I knew that Miami was going to bounce back and beat Chicago. And I said, watch them, have a hard, grinded out series against a team like Milwaukee. And this is what's coming on right now. I know that I don't think many people expected Giannis to be hurt at this point in time. But you look at Game 1, even when Giannis was playing, that he were going back and forth. I don't think the Heat fear, no matter who's out there. It's all about grinded out and hard. And I know from past playoffs last year, they're a team that you cannot take lightly. And if you do take lightly, they're going to take it personal on you. First, I do want to also send my prayers in regards to Victor Oladipo. The guy's been absolutely, he's had a lot of tough luck in the past, and he's been a great guy that the Heat have had off the bench. And It looks like he's going to be having season-ending surgery after his injury that he had in the last game. So I just wanted to, unfortunately, I wanted to send my prayers over to him. Another thing, too, guys, the Heat have been doing this right now without Tyler Hero. Remember, Tyler Hero is one of their main guys, specifically. Bam Adebayo, of course, has to take a lot of the responsibilities. But, man, this was all about Jimmy Butler tonight. Without Jimmy Butler tonight, even having not even 50-plus points, 40-plus points, to get 50-plus points in this game, it could be a side series. Instead, Jimmy puts them on the back, 3-1, and then all the pressure's on the Bucks now. So it's been a great series, and we'll see where it goes.
Anyways, folks, with that being said, here we're going to go to Casey's comments, and he said Lakers will close it out in Game 5. If they get the Warriors, it's not going to be easy. I agree, 100%. And then Casey King says, don't forget the 1994 Denver Nuggets, who were the 8th seed back in the day. They beat the Seattle Supersonics, who were the number 1 seed. And then Bucks are done without Giannis, which I definitely agree with. We're going to talk about the NFL now, and after months and months of nonstop speculation and rumors, the saga is finally over. The Green Bay Packers have finally traded Aaron Rodgers and their 15th overall pick to the New York Jets in exchange for the Jets' 13th overall pick, a 2023 second-round pick, number 42, 6th-round pick, number 247, and a 2024 second-round pick that becomes a first if Aaron Rodgers plays 65% of the plays. My reaction to Aaron Rodgers being the Jets, I don't think this leapfrogs the Jets over Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, because the Bills are basically the powerhouse in the AFC East. I knew that since Tom Brady left the New England Patriots, and I know Mac Jones versus Aaron Rodgers matchups, I can't wait for those. And when Aaron Rod goes up against Tua, and when he also goes up against Josh Allen, those are going to be some fun matchups come September. But anyways, here, with that being said, are the Jets a Super Bowl contender now with Aaron Rodgers at the helm? On paper, they are. But I do think that that it's possible. Isaiah, I'm going to start with you. What was your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers becoming a Jet? And then I'm telling you, I forgot to give you my thought here about Jordan Love. I think the Jordan Love era is going to be a lot of fun in Green Bay. I think the Green Bay Packers are going to be back to being a really good team. And I might go out on a limb that the Green Bay Packers will win the NFC North this year.
All right, there's a lot to unpack there, but my first reaction to the news is this. I can finally wear this green hoodie with pride. I can finally wear this green hoodie that I got when I visited New York last summer with pride. It hasn't been easy, but now I can finally wear it. I think not just me, but I think overall, Ben, Loro, I think you guys would probably agree with me that I think the overall reaction to this news was that finally, man, finally, we can all get on with our lives instead of having to wait and, constantly hear about these rumors about the Packers and the Jets trade talks and all of that stuff. I think everybody was just getting tired of it. I know personally I was after he got or announced that he wanted to play for the Jets. It was just dragging on and on and on, and every week it was just something kind of the same. But I'm just glad that it got done. It's a relief that it got done. And like I said earlier, I think that the people of New York, New Yorkers everywhere, New York Jet fans specifically everywhere, they should be flocking over to Times Square and partying like it's New Year's Eve, because you literally became a Super Bowl contender, after years of being a laughingstock, not just in the NFL, but into the sports world in general. You got Aaron freaking Rodgers. This team was they were on the cusp of making the playoffs last year. They had a really good ball club. They had a great defense with Robert Saleh calling the shots on defense. They had great weapons on offense with Garrett Wilson. Had Corey Davis there, Brees Hall, the running back. They have great pieces. All they were missing was a good quarterback. They don't even need a great quarterback. They were just missing a good quarterback, and they would have made the playoffs. If they had like Brock Purdy, if they had Ryan Tannehill, if they had just an average quarterback, there's no doubt in my mind that the New York Jets would have made the playoffs last year. And not only did they get a good quarterback and an upgrade over Zach Wilson, but they got Aaron freaking Rodgers to lead them. So I think the Jets are definitely a Super Bowl contender. They have the pieces there right now, both offense and defense. They didn't give up any players on offense or defense to get them. They only gave up picks, which is a big thing, and they're going to keep their first round pick, which is huge as well. And you can maybe trade your first round pick or the 2 second round picks that you got from the Browns for DeAndre Hopkins, and they'll make your team even better. But it's a great day to be a New York Jets fan. The Jets are finally relevant in the NFL. It's been a long, long time, and I'm really happy for Robert Saleh. I'm really happy for Jet fans everywhere. And I think for Packer fans too, they should be celebrating because you finally got rid of Aaron Rodgers and you got out of the uncertainty, the constant limbo that he kept putting you guys in, and you finally have some clarification as to what your future is now. The Jordan Love era is officially beginning. Like, there's no more question marks. Is Jordan Love the guy? Is Aaron Rodgers the guy? Is Rodgers going to retire? Is Rodgers going to even play next season? There's no more of that question mark. Your entire future for the next 10 years has been settled. And I think for Packer fans, they should all be relieved. Jet fans, they should all be celebrating. And, the only team, I'll say this, the only team that I think should be crying over this move is the Kansas City Chiefs, because when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs had a really good offense, but a not so good defense. And when you look at the Jets, all they were missing was a great quarterback. And I think the Jets would have made a run. And now they have that great quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. And the Jets are going to give the Chiefs a lot of problems this upcoming season. And also, I'm really interested to see, I think we've all been really interested to see, Aaron Rodgers has whined in the past about how, the Packers don't give me any say in personnel matters and stuff like that. I want more say when it comes to the roster, like Tom Brady when he went to the Bucs. Well, he's not going to get it. This is Aaron Rodgers' team. Joe Douglas might be the GM, but he's literally just a figurehead for the New York Jets. He's literally just going to be doing whatever Aaron Rodgers wants him to do, whoever Aaron Rodgers wants him to trade for, whomever Aaron Rodgers wants him to pick, whomever Aaron Rodgers wants him to sign. He's going to get those pieces for Aaron Rodgers, and I'm really interested to see how an Aaron Rodgers GM-led team ends up working out, because we know with Brady made all the right moves, but with Rodgers, who is he going to get to surround himself, because he's got no excuses not to win in New York now with having a stacked team already and you also having all the power in the organization. So it's a great move for Aaron Rodgers. It's a great move for the Jets. It's a great move for the Packers. And, for us football fans, it's a great move as well for us, because now we get to see, Rodgers in a different uniform. And also we finally get clarification on this saga, which has been dragging on for far too long.
What was your thoughts, Ben, on Aaron Rodgers being a New York Jet?
If you know the meme on Twitter, it's like the guy that literally just said, "It's done." And it literally just stops. That was my legitimate reaction when I got out of work and I saw the text, and I literally just had to pause before getting into my car and thought to myself, I'm like, this is the lawn nightmare. It was fun. I got to a point after the rumors that it went on for a couple of weeks, and I'm just like, I think that the NFL media was getting sick and tired of talking so much about it that they're just like, oh yeah, by the way, leading up to draft week this coming week, we're just gonna give you the news that Aaron Rodgers is gonna be coming to New York Jet. And I'm just like, in the NFL, it never sleeps at the end of the day. Even though Isaiah, I think you said it on Kicking with Cruz. I think last show, that might have been the show before, that it's been too quiet. The NFL is right now so quiet that eventually something's going to absolutely just pop. There's going to be some type of big news. And I knew that this was going to be the big news, I think, at least leading up to the draft, was Aaron Rodgers was going to become a New York Jet. I think it was the inevitable. I think I was reading that Brian Gutekunst and Joe Douglas were talking from Adam Schefter's tweet this past week. I think they finally started to come to the details and everything like that. So I think that when they found that out, they were able to break the news to everybody. And it's a win-win for both sides. It's a win-win in terms of the Jets finally get a quarterback of competence. They've had quarterbacks for so long, whether it's Sam Darnold, Mark Sanchez, I mean, you name it, butt fumble, the JETS Jets, or as I call it, just end the season for them. So, it's good for Jet fans. As a Patriot fan myself, it's obviously been great beating up on them year to year. And I have a lot of Jet fans, my friends that I know that are really close with. But it's good for the sport. Another thing, Isaiah, too, that I don't need to get to mention is he now gets to play in a big market, right? He now, as much as he got the attention in Green Bay, now he gets to play in New York, out of all places. And now he gets to play in prime time. He gets to get a lot of this big, just overall, Brady's he's retired. There's not a lot of big time quarterbacks now, like in at least the modern day, outside of really Aaron Rodgers. So I think that just the overall, it's pretty much the Aaron Rodgers overall Broadway. And this is, I think, the way that he likes it too. It's just all the attention now right on him in New York. So it should be really fun over at MetLife. And that might, at least for me, I might be tempted to go to my first Patriots at Jets game potentially this coming season. We'll see how things go about that if that happened to be true. But it's a win-win. The Jets, obviously, they get the slam dunk. As you were saying, as in Laurel, that Woody Johnson wants to go for the home run, and they got their home run. So that's obviously good. They got a really good defense. I mean, going to that Jets and Patriots game last year, the Jets would have beaten us for sure. And then quarterback play. I mean, that quarterback play from Zach Wilson, it was probably, out of all the Patriots games that I've been to, and I've gone to Patriots games for years, that might have been the worst quarterback play that I've legitimately ever seen. And I stand by it. I mean, it was awful. I mean, Zach Wilson was throwing passes over guys' heads in the flats that were wide open. And, I'm just like, man, oh man, where is this Jets quarterback play going to ever end? I mean, it's hilarious, but I'm like, they're going to eventually have to get somebody, and they finally get Aaron Rodgers. In terms of the Green Bay Packers, it's a complete distraction off their hands. I think they were ready for it for years. Jordan Love is the guy. I mean, he's definitely shown it. He's shown flashes. And I think that, it was kind of, I don't know if it was kind of like Brady leaving New England, because obviously Brady New England was a really big long-term thing. But I just think that, sometimes relationships just kind of have to, go. It just kind of runs its course. I think that there's probably some, love still there with Rodgers in Green Bay. But I think that he gets to get the opportunity to potentially look at a specific team where he can go to a bigger market. I also, was so shocked that Odell Beckham, right? That Odell Beckham didn't want to wait and have him go to the Jets, because I think Rodgers really wanted him to go to the Jets. And we're still kind of seeing the situation now with Lamar Jackson. I think now, guys, I don't know if Lamar Jackson is the next topic, but that's, I think, the next thing to kind of look at as we now lead into Thursday, because, Lamar Jackson right now, there's going to be a lot of quarterback and needed type teams. And now with Aaron Rodgers officially as a Jet and, Jordan Love as a Packer, the dominoes are going to start to, fall as we get closer to draft time. Of course, it was really quiet for a couple weeks, but now this is where the ultimate chaos begins. So I'm really excited.
Did you want to add something, Isaiah, before we get into this mock draft thing?
Yeah, the thing I wanted to add was I forgot to touch about Jordan Love. I am excited for Jordan Love. I think that he showed me last year when Aaron Rodgers was out in that Philly game that, he's really improved mechanically and also with his vision. And he looked like, I don't want to say Patrick Mahomes out there, but he did kind of look like a young version of Patrick Mahomes. He was throwing it well. He was throwing well on the run. He was just throwing passes into double coverage, just fitting it in there that I was just like, wow, I didn't believe that he could do that when he first came out. So I'm excited to see him. And remember, the Packers have like 8 picks, so they can surround him with a lot of talent, offensive line, wide receivers, tight ends, etc. It's going to be fun to see him start for the Packers this upcoming season. And the last thing I'll say before we go to the mock draft is, I did mention the bet on Kicking with Cruz, I think a couple of weeks ago, that it's way too quiet right now in the NFL. And the NFL is never this quiet. So I thought that there was a lot of stuff brewing that was being worked on behind the scenes. And I think that this Aaron Rodgers thing, I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. Like, we've known about this for a while. I think we're about to see some crazy stuff like Derrick Henry get traded. I could see Lamar trade happening during the draft. And, I don't want to spoil my mock draft, but I think, we could also see a Trey Lance trade, especially if, the Texans end up doing something stupid like passing the quarterback at number 2, like the rumors are suggesting right now.
Anyways, now, folks, with that being said, it is time for our mock draft show. And let's get ready with the first pick in the 2023 NFL mock draft. Basically, all of us will have the same pick, but some of our picks will be different as we get into the teens and also into the 20s. 31 teams get to pick this year because the Dolphins forfeited their first round pick due to tampering. So the Miami Dolphins.
We have the clock. We should have that.
Maybe.
That.
But
I mean, I could be it if you want.
Anyways, the Carolina Panthers have moved up in the draft to pick number 1 over the Chicago Bears. In my mock draft, with the first pick in the 2023 NFL mock draft, I have the Carolina Panthers selecting Bryce Young, a quarterback from Alabama. Before you guys go on, I'll give you my thoughts on this. I think Bryce Young is going to make the Carolina Panthers a strong team offensively. I love the kid since he went to my college football school in Alabama, a clear favorite to be the number 1 pick. And I'm telling you, he is going to make Carolina really good. It's going to be a special team with him. You're going to build around him. Frank Reich is going to make Bryce Young an elite quarterback. Frank Reich is a quarterback guru, and he is going to help Bryce Young grow and develop into not only being a running quarterback, he's going to help him be a pocket passer. You're going to see Bryce Young flourish in his rookie year. And I don't mean to spoil who I think is going to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm picking Bryce Young to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year this year easily. So that's where I go with this, and I cannot wait to see Bryce Young in the NFL. Isaiah, I know you're on the same page as me on this. Who do you got the Carolina Panthers selecting?
I think that, you had asked me like a month ago, I probably would have said something else, but I think as the stories have come out, the rumors have come out, I think it's just inevitable. Bryce Young's going to be the number 1 pick. The owner loves him. The head coach, Frank Reich, has fallen in love with him. He is kind of small, though. I think he needs to put on some weight or else he's going to get injured a lot in the NFL. But, I feel like he's just miles ahead of everybody else in terms of the quarterback.
We lost Isaiah there.
You guys got me?
I hear
go ahead. And what were you going to say about Bryce Young?
Yeah, I was just going to say that Bryce Young, he's just miles ahead of every other quarterback in this draft. He's got great vision. He's got great pocket presence. He's a magician outside of the pocket. I mean, there were a lot of throws that he made last season and the year before, especially against my Georgia Bulldogs in that SEC championship game, where I was just like, how on earth did he get out of the sack and somehow spin and, make that throw to a wide open receiver? Like, I just didn't know how he did it. But the Panthers will get their franchise quarterback, and it's going to be Bryce Young, and he's going to be walking into a great situation with great weapons, great offensive line, a good coaching staff with Frank Reich and Thomas Brown, the offensive coordinator, as well as Josh McCown, the quarterback's coach, who's played quarterback for a very long time in this league. I think it's a great situation for Bryce Young, and he's going to have a great rookie year.
You expect Bryce Young to start week 1 this year. You're going to see not one rookie quarterback. I see at least 3.
Yes, I think he's going to start week 1, but my big concern with him, though, is that he's got to put on weight. Because if he doesn't put on weight, those big NFL defensive linemen, when they sack him and they put their weight upon him, he's going to get hurt. And that's the one thing I'm afraid of. So he has to put on weight.
Ben, who do you got the Carolina Panthers selecting? This pick, as you know, it's from the Chicago Bears.
With my first pick in my 2023 NFL mock draft, I have the Panthers selecting Bryce Young from Alabama. I think that, as I agree with Isaiah, as the weeks have gone on, I think that Frank Reich really likes Bryce Young's overall body of work, and I think that they're going to be a really good pair together.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think Carolina, I still have Carolina. I mean, Isaiah, I know with my early predictions who I think wins the NFC South, I picked Carolina because I think Frank Reich is going to turn that team around in a heartbeat.
I would say this. It depends what Atlanta does. If Atlanta does, change their mind and get Lamar, then it does change a lot of things. But right now, as things stand, I do believe Frank Reich will turn Bryce Young into a superstar. And the Panthers, they're ready to win now. I mean, their defense is good. They got Miles Sanders in the backfield. Young doesn't have to do a whole lot. They got weapons on the outside. As well as tight end, and Frank Reich is a great quarterback whisperer. I just think he's walking into a great situation, and he's going to be able to flourish right away.
If you talk about the NFC South as a whole, I think Carolina is one of the teams that are ready to win. If Atlanta finds a way to get Lamar Jackson, that's going to make the division a bit interesting. Tampa Bay, if Kyle Trask gets a chance, and if he flourishes, and I do think if he does get the starting job, I do think he's going to flourish right away. And the Saints, I think they're decent, but I don't think they're great.
Yeah, I think they're mediocre with. I mean, they have Derek Carr, but it depends on the other pieces around him.
Yeah, that's going to depend on that. But I'll go first with this next pick. With the second pick in the 2023 NFL draft, I heard rumors about the Texans passing on a quarterback at number 2. I don't think they do in my mock draft. I have the Houston Texans selecting from Stephen Wang's school, C.J. Stroud, a quarterback from Ohio State. I'm going to go first with my thoughts on why I did this for Houston. Houston needs a franchise quarterback, and I'm going to make this point clear. Case Keenum is not going to start week 1. He is there as the backup quarterback. Case Keenum knows the Houston Texans system, and I do think that this would help C.J. Stroud transition into the NFL. Like Bryce Young, I think C.J. Stroud will start week 1, and I do think that the Houston Texans are starting from scratch with head coach DeMeco Ryans, and I do think that the Houston Texans are going to start this rebuild with C.J. Stroud as their starting quarterback, but also build around him in the later rounds of the draft, which they have the number 12 pick in the draft, and I'll get to who I think is going to join C.J. Stroud. I have his former college teammate with him out at Ohio State. I'll tell you his name when we get to number 12. So, Isaiah, I picked C.J. Stroud to be a Texan. I kind of noted down the reasons why I think he's going to be the right fit in Houston, because I think that he's a guy that is going to learn the offense with Bobby Slowick as his offensive coordinator. I think he's going to do a great job with him. DeMeco Ryans is going to have great input on how his offense is going to be built around with C.J. Stroud, and I really think that a new era in Houston is going to come. And I think that it starts with C.J. Stroud as their quarterback, Isaiah.
Well, that's a good pick, Loro. This was probably the most difficult pick out of all the ones on my mock draft, just because there's been so many rumors. And, like we know when there's smoke, a lot of smoke specifically, there's fire. And it's been trending this way of the Houston Texans drafting a player, not a quarterback, the last few weeks. And there's been a lot of smoke. And I'm starting to think that it's legit. And I'm starting to think there's a lot of validity to it. So with the second pick in my 2023 mock draft, I got the Houston Texans. You guys ready for this? This is gonna be the first bombshell of the night. I got the Houston Texans drafting Will Anderson, defensive end from Alabama.
What?
Yes, DeMeco Ryans played at Alabama. He's very in tune with the Alabama program.
I like it.
And he wants his Nick Bosa. He wants his Nick Bosa to start building around that defense. And I think that they're going to pass on a quarterback because Nick Caserio reportedly is not in love with any of the quarterbacks outside of Bryce Young. And there's talk that when he's not in love with any of the quarterbacks, he's not going to force it. So I think that they're going to go defense. They're going to try to get, the Houston Texans version of Nick Bosa, get Will Anderson Jr. And you guys also ready for this? Right after the pick is made, we're going to get a breaking news on our phones. The Houston Texans will acquire Trey Lance from the 49ers in exchange for the number 33 overall pick. He's got a relationship with DeMeco Ryans. He's got a relationship with Bobby Slowick. He clearly doesn't fit in San Francisco because San Francisco wants to win right now, and Trey Lance needs time to develop. I think he's a better fit in Houston where he can have all the time in the world to develop. And also Houston, if let's say Trey Lance sucks next season and the Texans suck, they could be in line to move off of Trey Lance and get a top 5 pick and draft one of the top quarterbacks in next year's draft, whether it's Caleb Williams or Drake May or any one of those top quarterbacks. So I think Houston takes a chance on Lance, takes a gamble, and tries to, see if he's their franchise guy and, in the process drafts Will Anderson to be their Nick Bosa.
What about you, Ben? Where do you have Houston? Where do you think Houston's going with this?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you. Agree with you, Lauro. I think that they're going to get C.J. Stroud. And I think that I know I'm a little biased myself, being an Ohio State Buckeye football fan, but I think that Bryce Young is a phenomenal quarterback. I think he's going to be probably the best overall quarterback specifically, but I think specifically in terms of the best quarterback to play specifically in the NFL. I think it's going to be C.J. Stroud, and I think that is because of his overall instincts. The guy is just he's very smart. He's very knowledgeable, specifically in terms of where things are. And I think Houston needs that quarterback. They need a specific guy where he could be there for the long haul. He's a young guy. You could develop him. And I think that, there's no pressure going there. And I think that this is kind of a perfect spot where you can kind of develop him into becoming the pick that we're going to be able to see. So I got C.J. Stroud going to number 2.
All right, folks. Now we're going to Arizona Cardinals. So in my mock draft, I have the Arizona Cardinals selecting. Isaiah kind of stole this idea from me when this guy went to Houston. I have the Arizona Cardinals selecting Will Anderson Jr., a linebacker from Alabama. Let me tell you, you talk about Nick Sirianni having Alabama players on the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Jonathan Gannon will have an Alabama player on the Arizona Cardinals since he's now the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. And you talk about the identity that Jonathan Gannon brings. He's a defensive-minded head coach that I think is going to help turn around that defense in a heartbeat. And I do think that Will Anderson Jr. is going to be his choice. And I think that the Cardinals defense is going to be a force to be reckoned with when you build that young defense around Will Anderson. You also have to build around this young defense around Budda Baker as well. Isaiah, who do you have the Arizona Cardinals selecting at number 3?
Nobody. I don't think they make that pick. I got them trading this pick actually to the Las Vegas Raiders, and Josh McDaniels will get his future franchise quarterback. I think they traded to the Raiders, and with the third overall pick, the Raiders will select C.J. Stroud, the quarterback from Ohio State. You know, McDaniels really, it seems like he's really in love with him from all the reports that I've read, and if he's there at number 3, some team is going to trade up for him, especially if the Texans pass on a quarterback. So I expect the Raiders to be aggressive. I expect them to move fast, and I expect the Raiders to move up and get Stroud and get him to be their franchise quarterback, sit for a year, learn under Jimmy G, and then be the franchise quarterback moving forward. And he's the prototypical modern day quarterback where he can run and he can pass as well. So I think Josh McDaniels is aggressive and makes that bombshell move.
What about you, Ben? What about who do you think the Arizona Cardinals get at number 3?
Sorry, I was on mute. Lower, we're 3 for 3. I got Arizona actually getting Will Anderson. I think that specifically that the Cardinals really need help on their pass rush. They just traded Zach Allen, who was one of their top pass rushers on this past year's team. They bring in another guy to help their defense. Buda Baker. That's hint. That might be my big trade that could be going down this week, as he, of course, had his trade request. I will give you guys my team for Buda Baker before the end of this show ends. But yes, I have Will Anderson going to the Cardinals.
Anyways, now, folks, you'll like this pick, Isaiah. Basically, in my mock draft, I projected 2 rookie quarterbacks to be day 1 starters in Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. And there's going to be a third week 1 starter coming your way. With the 4th pick in the 2023 NFL draft, I have the Indianapolis Colts selecting Will Levis, the quarterback from Kentucky. I'm going to say this. I think that the Colts are going back to the drawing board, and Nick Sirianni has an SEC quarterback in Jalen Hurts. And I do think Shane Steichen, the new head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, is going to have an SEC quarterback as his quarterback come week 1 over Minshew Magic or Minshew Mania, who I think Gardner Minshew is going to be the backup quarterback, whoever that is in this rookie class. Will Levis, I think, is going to be one of those guys that I really think is going to be a great pocket passer. He's going to flourish in Shane Steichen's system. Shane Steichen developed the same system for Justin Herbert with the Chargers. He developed that same system with Jalen Hurts. And I think Shane Steichen will do a great job with Will Levis. Will Levis is going to come into a great situation in Indianapolis. You have a great offensive line that I think he's going to be well protected around if they're healthy. Quentin Nelson's going to have fun blocking for him. You better watch out for that. You have great receivers in Michael Pittman Jr. You also have Paris Campbell. And then you got Jonathan Taylor that I think is going to be vital in Levis's success in the NFL in the near future. I think this pick for the Colts will be good. I don't expect them to go with a veteran under center come week 1, but the Indianapolis Colts are going to start this rebuild right away and get a rookie quarterback in Will Levis. And I think Will Levis is going to have a great, great career in Indianapolis. And I think that he is going to be a great pickup for the Colts. And now with Frank Reich unfairly scapegoated in Indy because of Jim Irsay's ways, it's a fresh start for Shane Steichen, and it's time for a new era in Indianapolis. What about you, Isaiah?
Loro, me, you, and Ben haven't agreed on the last 2 picks, but I think we're going to agree here. With the 4th pick in this draft, I got the Indianapolis Colts drafting Will Levis out of Kentucky. Shane Steichen, like you mentioned, worked with Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is big, tall guy, got a big cannon of an arm, great pocket passer, can move a little bit as well. That is what Will Levis is. He's a guy that's big, strong, tall, got a cannon of an arm, great vision, can move outside and in the pocket. He just reminds me of Justin Herbert, and Shane Steichen's got familiarity working with a Justin Herbert like quarterback, and he did really well working with Justin Herbert. So I expect him to do the same with Will Levis. Will Levis will be walking into a good situation with Quentin Nelson, Michael Pittman. He's not going to be walking into a situation where he doesn't have weapons and the offensive line is bad. The offensive line is all right, not great, but they'll be able to protect him a little bit. And also, he'll have Michael Pittman there. He'll have Jonathan Taylor there as well. He doesn't have to put the whole team on his back. I really like the situation for Will Levis, and I think he's going to thrive there. Maybe not year one, but I think eventually as they start to rebuild, I think that he's the guy that they can build around, and he'll have a lot of success in Indianapolis.
You expect Will Levis to be the week 1 starter assuming he's drafted by the Indianapolis Colts?
I do, because I don't expect Gardner Minshew or the other guys.
No way. I mean, I'm going to say this one more time. I don't expect Case Keenum to start for Houston. I don't expect Andy Dalton to start for Carolina. I don't expect Gardner Minshew to start for Indianapolis.
Yeah, I don't expect any of those guys to start. I think that you got new coach in Shane Steichen, new quarterback with Will Levis. I think that those two need to learn together. They got to grow together. And I just think it's a great fit. I could also see Anthony Richardson, though, because he's got a great arm and he's also mobile. He kind of reminds me of Jalen Hurts. But I think if you're the Colts, you take the guy that is a finished product right now, not a project. You take the guy that's a finished product and a guy that I think is guaranteed to be at least good in the NFL.
What about you, Ben? Who do you have the Indianapolis Colts taking at number 4?
I actually have them getting Anthony Richardson. I think that they really like what they have in him, which Shane Steichen really believes in. Obviously, Will Levis, I think, is really highly favored from him, but I have actually Will Levis kind of dropping down. You guys will kind of see where I have him going for. But I just don't know if people really kind of believe in overall Will Levis's overall game. He kind of has that Zach Wilson kind of effect, I think, where he's a big arm. And I understand that, Isaiah was saying that Anthony Richardson's a project, but I do think that Anthony Richardson might have that overall better upside. So I think specifically the Colts could be a team specifically that could potentially go after Richardson's services. And I think that there could be some better upside there than Levis. So I have Richardson going to the Colts.
Anyways, now we're going to go to pick number 5. This pick is from the Denver Broncos for the Seattle Seahawks. And with the 5th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, I have the Seattle Seahawks selecting. This guy is from Isaiah's college football school at Georgia. That is Nolan Smith. And the reason why I have him going, the Seahawks going with Nolan Smith, is because Bobby Wagner is just there to help build and guide this young defense that the Seattle Seahawks are building. And I think getting a guy like Nolan Smith to learn from one of the greats in Bobby Wagner and Seahawks history, this will really help him be that next focal leader of that defense. And what I like in a team defense is somebody that is going to be a leader of men on each position of the defensive side of the ball, especially at linebacker, especially at safety, and especially at the defensive front, and telling you where to stand and where to guard receivers. And Nolan Smith is a guy that is going to get to the quarterback, pressure him. He's going to do what Pete Carroll likes, is have that aggressive defense. What about you, Isaiah?
Sorry, I was muted there for a second. But, for me, I got the Seahawks drafting a Bulldog, but it's not going to be Nolan Smith. It's going to be Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle out of Georgia. He is ferocious. He's a guy that is like Jordan Davis, who is a monster up the middle, can get to the quarterback, can stop the run easily. He's a guy that, you got a double and triple team in the middle of that defense. And We saw the Seahawks. The reason why their defense sucked last year wasn't because of their defensive, or it wasn't because of their linebackers. It was because they couldn't get any pressure on the quarterbacks. And I think if you get a guy in Jalen Carter to be the guy in the middle taking the focal point of the attention of the opposing team's offensive line, then it'll free up guys that you'll free up the other pass rushers to rush the quarterback. Free up the other guys that could rush the quarterback from the left side and the right side and make your defensive line just so much more easier. So I got Jalen Carter going there. Pete Carroll has never had an issue with drafting guys with a bad character issue, so it just makes a lot of sense for it not to happen.
What about you? Ben? Who do you have Seattle getting at number 5?
Isaiah, I'm going with you. I'm going to go Jalen Carter. I think that the Seahawks really need some help in their pass rush. And I think that Jalen Carter is a really ferocious interior, presents some toughness. I think Seattle's defense last year gave them a ton of extra yardage needed than usual. They're really bad in the short yardage situations. So I think specifically, I'm just looking at his overall pros and weaknesses, his strengths. He has a full-on list. Flurries with hand combinations to disorient to protection, rockets out of stance into pursuing position off the snap. So this guy has a lot of specifics that really I think the Seahawks probably will present. 300 pounds. He just seems like a body. The pro comp to him right now on NFL.com is Jeffrey Simmons. So that's obviously a pretty good overall comp. Jeffrey Simmons has been one of the most underappreciated passers in the league last couple of years. And he's an absolute beast. So I think that the Seahawks will really get a guy like him.
Anyways, now we're going to go to 6 here. The Fighting Dan Campbells, they're looking to continue to build off their 9-8 season, which I think this Detroit Lions team is going to be great. So the Detroit Lions at number 6, I have them selecting Tyree Wilson, a defensive end from Texas Tech. Isaiah and Ben, I really think that this is going to be a pick that I think that the Detroit Lions are going to love, because this is going to be a defense that I really think is going to be ferocious, which I think it already is, because Dan Campbell loves ferocious defenses, and Tyree Wilson, I think, will be their choice at number 6. What about you, Isaiah?
I'm going to go with a shocker. Give me Nolan Smith, the edge rusher out of Georgia. Detroit needs pass rushers, and Nolan Smith right now is projected as the 17th or 18th pick. But we know, and we've seen in the past in the NFL draft, that guys get overdrafted like so much in the NFL draft. Look at Cleveland Farrell when he was supposed to go like 15th, I think, and he ended up going number 4 to the Raiders. Nolan Smith is fast. He also can play linebacker. He also can cover receivers as well. He's the total package. So I think Detroit, they've only got 1 pick in the first round. They can't afford to pass on a guy like him. And I think that, he's a guy that will make their defense just exponentially better. So give me Nolan Smith to Detroit at number 6.
What about you, Ben? Where do you have who's your choice for the Detroit Lions at 6?
Yeah, we all have different guys with the Lions. Give me Devon Witherspoon, cornerback from Illinois. I think that the Lions really need some help their secondary, and I think that this guy presents a lot of good instinctives, really quick, and overall his game. Just read a stat that he gave up less than 40% completion percentage last year, according to PFF. So this guy has a lot. I think that the Lions specifically are trending upward with a very young, really good upcoming defense. You bring in a guy, the number one, your first pick, be in your defense, especially in their secondary. And I think this could be a really good sneaky move for the Detroit Lions.
Absolutely. Anyways, now we're going to go to number 7 here with the Las Vegas Raiders. So for me, I have them getting Anthony Richardson, a quarterback for Florida. I think he's a guy that can learn under Jimmy Garoppolo and maybe be used. The Raiders could use him how the Saints used Taysom Hill. Use him in a gadget play. Use him in that scenario. Like, use him in the pistol, use him in read options so that he can run those rushing touchdowns. So, Isaiah, who do you have Anthony Rich? Who do you have the Raiders getting at number 7? Or basically, the Cardinals have that pick now in your mock draft.
Yeah. The Cardinals have that pick. They traded. I got them trading the pick or the 3rd pick to the Raiders for the 7th, and the Raiders drafting C.J. Stroud. With the 7th pick, the Cardinals have a lot of needs. They can go O-line, they can go wide receiver, they could go defense. You know what? For me, I'm going to go Tyree Wilson, the edge rusher out of Texas Tech. They lost J.J. Watt. They need to improve their pass rush. Their pass rush was not good last year outside of J.J. Watt. I know Budda Baker wants out. There's a lot of players that want out. But a lot of people are really high on Tyree Wilson right now, and he was really good at Texas Tech. He was very ferocious with Texas Tech last year. He was one of the best pass rushers in the entire Big 12, and I think he's a guy that you can start building that defense if you're Jonathan Gannon under. Remember, Jonathan Gannon had a really good defensive line when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think he's going to try to do the same thing with the Arizona Cardinals and build that defensive line and then go linebackers and then go secondary. So give me Tyree Wilson to Arizona.
What about you, Ben? Who do you have the Las Vegas Raiders getting at number 7?
Yeah, well, I'm debating if there's a potential trade because right now, my overall thinking right now is I think that the Tennessee Titans are going to make a trade for Will Levis. I think that specifically that there could be potential where Ryan Tannehill gets cut. I don't know specifically if Malik Willis is their long-term answer. I could really see them sneaking into the 1st round and getting one of these guys specifically. But if that doesn't become the case, I'm going to stay put where I am right now. And I think that the Raiders are going to get Will Levis. I think they're going to draft Will Levis specifically. I don't know specifically about Jimmy G's health, so I think that they have somebody ready to go 1st round overall caliber because I think Josh McDaniels wants a guy that's ready now. Even though if he's a young guy and he could be more of a project. But yeah, I think that could be the right move for them, the Raiders, to get Will Levis. But I would not be shocked specifically. This could be a pick potentially I could see getting traded, and I could see a team to watch like the Tennessee Titans or the Falcons. The Tennessee Titans and the Falcons are my 2 very most teams to really watch out for quarterback because it can get really, really interesting if those 2 teams start trading up.
Now, folks, with that being said here, we go to the 8th pick. I have the Atlanta Falcons selecting Miles Murphy, a defensive tackle from Death Valley of Clemson, and a Dabo Sweeney product. So the reason why I got this pick is because, let me tell you, I really think that the Falcons need to kind of beef up their defensive line. And, I think that this is the place to do it. But I also think the Atlanta Falcons may need a quarterback. I don't know where they go from there. I like Tyler Algier and Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Those are guys that are going to be carrying the offense for this young Atlanta Falcons squad. So, Isaiah, who do you have the Atlanta Falcons getting at number 8?
You guys ready for this?
Yes.
The Atlanta Falcons will not draft a player. They will get Lamar Jackson and trade for him with this pick. I expect a sign and trade deal where they'll make a deal where they trade the 8th overall pick and a bunch of other picks for Lamar Jackson. It's been too quiet on the Lamar side. We haven't heard any rumors, and like we learned today with the Aaron Rodgers thing where it's been way too quiet and they were actually just working stuff out in the background. It's been too quiet on the Lamar side. I don't believe the Falcons whatsoever that they're not going after Lamar Jackson. They're going to roll with Desmond Ridder and the other guys that they have. There's no way they're actually being serious. I fully expect Lamar Jackson will be a Falcon come draft day, and I just think that for both parties, they just for the Ravens and Lamar, they just want to move on. It seems like a fresh start would be better for both sides. And if you're the Ravens, are you really going to pass up a package that includes the 8th overall pick? I don't believe so. So give me Lamar to the Ravens or to the Falcons, and with the 8th overall pick, I got the Ravens drafting. I don't got them drafting a quarterback with this pick because you got Anthony Richardson. I don't think they'll want another Lamar-like quarterback. With the 8th overall pick, I got the Ravens drafting. I got them drafting Jackson Smith and Jigba. They got Odell there, but they want to, beef up the wide receivers for their new quarterback, whomever it is, whether it's, a rookie or whether it's Tyler Huntley. I think they want to make their weapons better. So give me Jackson Smith and Jigba to the Baltimore Ravens in a package that will send Lamar Jackson to the ATL.
Oh man, that's another bombshell trade right there. But I'll tell you where Jackson Smith Jigba will be in a little bit. Ben, who do you have the Atlanta Falcons getting at number 8?
I actually have them getting Nolan Smith from Georgia. I think that the Falcons really need some pass rush help, and I think that Nolan Smith is a guy that I think that can really. It's kind of similar to Jalen Carter, guy that can really benefit from a young team. The Falcons, I think specifically, just need a lot of help in that specific area. And between him and Van Ness from Iowa, I think they're going to go Smith.
All right. Anyways, with that being said, here now, we go to the Chicago Bears. This pick's from the Carolina Panthers, and with the 9th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, I have the Chicago Bears selecting Jalen Carter, a defensive tackle from Georgia. Matt Eberflus wants to rebuild that defense after losing Roquan Smith. So you talk about somebody that's going to be a building piece to that revamped Bears defense. What about you, Isaiah? Who do you have the Chicago Bears taking at number 9?
I got them taking a local product out of Northwestern, Peter Skoronsky, to help beef up their offensive line and protect Justin Fields. He's one of the best offensive linemen in this draft. He's a guy that you could literally just plug in and play right now. He is NFL ready, and he's a guy that he's a good start.
Isaiah here.
I can hear him.
You guys got me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I got Peter Skoronsky going to the Bears. I think he's a good fit for what they're trying to build, and also it's a good start to rebuild that offensive line to protect Justin Fields.
That could be. I mean, I can really see that because you don't want Justin Fields hurt. I know the Bears are committed to building this team around Justin Fields. What about you, Ben? Who do you have the Chicago Bears selecting at number 9?
I got the Chicago Bears also getting an offensive tackle. I got my guy, Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State. Justin Fields played at Ohio State. I don't know if you remember playing with Paris Johnson. I don't know if they were ever kind of over cross paths, but I think specifically that the Bears really still need some help in the offensive line. Paris Johnson Jr. is just an absolute monster. I mean, the guy's just built like an offensive lineman. You just can't get any bodies around him. And I think Skoronsky from Isaiah is a really good pick, but I think Johnson is probably the best overall tackle in this year's class. So I think that the Bears are going to go aggressive in on him, and they're going to get him.
Anyways, here now, folks, we're going to go to the 10s here. The NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles have this pick from the New Orleans Saints. I have the Philadelphia Eagles selecting Isaiah Foskey, a defensive end from Notre Dame. And Isaiah, I'll tell you, they really need help on that side of the ball, but I really think they find a way to get that.
For me, I got the Eagles making this pick, but I got them going defense. I think they lost a lot of too many members of their secondary. So I got them going out to replenish their secondary that they lost. And I got them drafting Christian Gonzalez, one of the top
Nice
cornerbacks out of Oregon. I think that he's a guy that you can also plug in and play right away, and you can start him, right when he comes into the NFL. And I think he'll be a solid corner for the Philadelphia Eagles.
What about you, Ben? Who do you have Philadelphia Eagles getting?
I actually have them getting an offensive tackle. I think they're going to get Pete Skoronski from Northwestern. I think that the Eagles really benefit. They really like using offensive linemen. They really like using in the power run game. So I think that they're going to get Skoronski. He's a really good fit for that overall scheme. And just an overall Northwestern, Philly. It just seems like it would be a really good fit there.
Let's go to pick number 11. So with the 11th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, I have the Tennessee Titans selecting Peter Skoronski, an offensive tackle from Northwestern. I say that because if Derrick Henry is going to stay in Tennessee, you got to get somebody to open up lanes for him on the outside and all that. So, Isaiah, who do you have Tennessee going? Who are you going with number 11 with Tennessee?
I've been debating this all day. I've been thinking I could see Tennessee flipping it in a trade. I could also see Tennessee using it to, draft a quarterback if there's a quarterback available. I could also see Tennessee just keeping it and drafting for other needs. But you know what? I'm going to go with a bombshell here. There's been a lot of rumors surrounding his name. And this, I'm telling you guys, this is going to be the craziest NFL draft we've seen in a long time. I got the Tennessee Titans trading the 11th pick to the 49ers for Brandon Ayuk. I got Brandon Ayuk going to Tennessee to go back with Rand Carton, the assistant GM who was in San Francisco as assistant GM, now the GM of the Tennessee Titans. And I got the Niners getting the 11th pick, trading up Ayuk and I think a third-round pick to the Tennessee Titans. And I got the Niners going out there. The Niners have needs at offensive line. They need a wide receiver to replace Ayuk. I got them going and getting Jordan Addison, the wide receiver out of USC, who's a really good route runner, to replace Brandon Ayuk there. I could also see guys like Jalen Hyatt and also Quentin Jefferson being the pick. Actually, you know what? I'm going to switch the pick. I'm going to go Niners will trade Ayuk to Tennessee for that pick to go up and get Quentin Johnston, the wide receiver from TCU, who was tremendous for TCU this season. He's got a great combination of size and big play potential, great route runner as well. Kind of reminds you of a younger Brandon Ayuk, and I think he would flourish in Kyle Shanahan's offense.
What about you, Ben? Who do you have the the Tennessee Titans selecting at number 11?
I got them getting a running back. I think that Derrick Henry, you want to hear this one, Isaiah? Derrick Henry, I think that he's going to be done after this season, and the Tennessee Titans are going to draft Bijan Robinson from Texas. I think that Bijan Robinson is the best running back. I think that the Eagles are going to pass on him. They're going to get an offensive tackle, and the Titans are going to snatch that away because they know that Derrick Henry is going to walk after the season. So they're going to get Bijan Robinson. And I think that the Tennessee Titans are probably going to go, for me at least, round 2 for a receiver. Because the receiver room is so deep this year that if you try, you don't even have to try to go for the first round to get a really good one. So I have the Titans getting a running back in the first round.
Anyways, here now we go to the Houston Texans pick at 12. This pick's from the Cleveland Browns. With the 12th pick, I have the Houston Texans selecting C.J. Stroud's college teammate at Ohio State, Jackson Smith-Njigba. I want to see that Ohio State reunion in Houston with Stroud and Njigba. I really think that this is going to be a match made in heaven. What about you, Isaiah? The second first-round pick for the Houston Texans at number 12.
I've been dropping a lot of bombs left and right tonight, and just shaking up the draft. And this might be the craziest of them all, but there's some reports connected to it. And Ben and Laurel, I think you guys will be very interested in what I'm about to say. I think Bill Belichick and the Patriots trade up to this pick. And I think with this pick, they select Anthony Richardson because there's been some smoke that Belichick is enamored with Richardson. And there's also talk that whether it's true or not that Belichick doesn't like Mac's attitude and all of that stuff. If you draft Richardson, you don't have to play him right away. You could play Mac, see how he does, and then you could put in Richardson after he sits for a year. And I think it's perfect situation for him because Belichick, I feel like for Bill Belichick, he needs to get into the modern era of quarterbacks. And that is a quarterback that can run and has a powerful arm who can move in and out of the pocket and sling that football up and down the field. And that's what Anthony Richardson potentially could be. And I think that with Mac Jones, he's a good quarterback, but he's a guy that if you have a guy in Anthony Richardson who's still available, you got to go get him because the potential is just so high. So I got Anthony Richardson going to the Patriots and New England trading up. Nick Caserio works with the Texans now. They have that familiarity there. And I think that those two could definitely connect and make this pick.
What about you, Ben? Who do you have the Houston Texans selecting at 12?
I have them getting Tyrese. What's his last name?
Tyrese Wilson.
Tyrese Wilson. I got the Texans getting Tyrese Wilson. I think that I got the Texans getting a quarterback the first round pick, and I think that they're going to go defense in the next round. Getting a young kid, defense. Has a lot of intangibles. I think that he's going to be a really good fit. I think it's between either him or Gonzalez. Cornerback, but I think that they're going to go corner potentially second round.
Anyways, now we go to pick 13. I have the Green Bay Packers selecting via the New York Jets, Quentin Johnson, a wide receiver from TCU. I say that because Jordan Love's going to get his number one receiver. He has Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson, but Quentin Johnson, I think, is going to help fit that bill. What about you, Ben?
This is a tough one. I think specifically that that Quentin Johnson might be falling a little bit. I think that they're going to get Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think that Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be out there early, and I think that the Packers are going to finally get a receiver alongside, Christian Dobbs, I believe, Christian Watson. They also have Razul Dobbs and the use of Al Nazar. They're going to start to kind of go with their young overall mix of weapons and kind of, I guess, they're now rebuild. So that's what have them getting.
All right. Next up here, Isaiah, did you go who you have Green Bay getting at 13?
No, I didn't. But I agree with you guys. I think they're gonna go receiver because they need to surround Jordan Love with weapons. For me, I'm gonna go with Zay Flowers. He's a guy that's really shot up the draft board recently. Guy out of Boston College who is a yards after the catch monster. And Matt LaFleur, he runs that Kyle Shanahan offense where their wide receivers they need to be good after the catch. So he's a guy that's a monster after the catch, and I think that he's a perfect fit for that offense. So give me Zay Flowers to the Green Bay Packers.
Next up, we go to pick 14, and that's the New England Patriots pick. For me, I have the New England Patriots selecting Tyler Steen, an offensive tackle from Alabama. I think he's going to play left tackle, and I think that he is going to protect Mac Jones's blind side. I believe in Mac, and I think Mac Jones is going to get his franchise left tackle. What about you, Ben? Who you got the New England Patriots selecting?
I have them. You want to hear this, Isaiah?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, boy. Laura, you're going to love this one. I got the Patriots trading the pick. They're going to put him in a trade package for Jerry Jeudy. I think they're going to finally have Yep, that's my big one. I think that Mac Jones is going to finally get his guy. I think that specifically that there's been very quiet on the Jerry Judy front, and this is a type of move I think that Bill Belichick's going to have to, pull out of the ordinary. Um, I just think that trying to just go very quiet, going. I know specifically if they go outside of the helm that I have specifically, this is kind of my wish one. Um, is Joey Porter the cornerback? Because I think specifically they still need help in their secondary and Joey Porter they've been really high on for at least the last couple of weeks. But since it's my mock draft and I get to kind of go off the rails a little bit and have my little fun, that's what I have is Jerry Judy is going to be on the Patriots via in the draft.
And who do the Broncos have the Patriots first round pick?
Yeah, I think the Patriots have what how many second round picks?
Maybe one or two. But what about you,
Yeah.
Isaiah? You made a trade here, so this is the Houston Texans pick at 14.
Wait, Ben, if the Broncos do get that pick, who do you think the Broncos will draft with that pick?
You're talking about the first round?
Yeah. At I think it was what 14 or 15, 14.
I think the Broncos are going to get Christian Gonzalez at secondary. I think
Okay.
that you pull him alongside Surtain. I think specifically that's the guy specifically I think that could really help. I know that Gonzalez has kind of been really high on a lot of teams that are quarterback needed, like the Cardinals, the Raiders. Secondary was a point of emphasis for the Broncos, and that was a guy specifically I think that they could potentially take a look on as well.
All right, for me, I traded this pick. The Patriots. It was the Patriots' original pick, but I got them trading it to the Texans to draft Anthony Richardson. For the Texans, I had them getting Trey Lance from the Niners, so they need to surround him with weapons as well. I got them going with Jordan Addison, the wide receiver out of USC. He's a guy that's quick. He's a guy that's physical. He's very powerful. I think he's a guy that. I think would do well with a young quarterback in Trey Lance who can move in and out of the pocket and just sling that football up and down the football field. So give me Jordan Addison. He worked with a mobile quarterback at USC and Caleb Williams. He's going to do well with Trey Lance in Houston.
Well, we're going to go to the number 15 pick. I mean, the Jets need offensive line help for Aaron Rodgers. I have the New York Jets selecting Paris Johnson, an offensive tackle from the Ohio State University. What about you, Isaiah?
I got the same. I got them going with Paris Johnston out of Ohio State. He's one of the better tackles left on the board. He's a guy that, you need to protect Aaron Rodgers. You got to fix that offensive line. Aaron Rodgers is 39 years of age, and he's only probably going to have 1 or 2 years in New York. So you need to make it good and give him protection. So I got them. I was debating between Broderick Jones or Paris Johnson, but Johnson's the better, higher rated tackle, and he's a guy that can play right away. He's a guy who can. He can play on the right side, right tackle or left tackle. Mekhi Becton, I think, he's got some issue right now. So I think he could start at either tackle position, and you can protect Aaron Rodgers' blind side as well.
Anyways, now, folks, with that being said here, now we go to pick number 16. And, man, this is getting dicey here. So the Washington Commanders, I have them selecting a defensive back. I have them getting Brian Branch from Alabama. I think that's a need that I think the Commanders need because I think they lacked it at secondary, but I really think that they need to get a guy like Brian Branch.
For me, I have a lot of options that I could end up seeing them get. But for me, I'm gonna go defense as well, Loro. But I'm gonna go with secondary. Give me Joey Porter Jr. He's long, he's athletic. He fits, their needs on the outside. And the Commanders' defense last year, their defensive line is stacked, but their linebackers and corners leave a lot to be desired. So I think with Porter Jr. there, I think you have a guy who can go in there and start right away, and he's a guy that can complement that stacked defensive line on the outside.
Well, we go to pick 17. I'm telling you, Pittsburgh needs an offensive tackle to help with Kenny Pickett, make him stay upright. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers selecting Jalen Duncan, an offensive tackle from Maryland. What about you, Isaiah?
For me, I actually got them going receiver. I know that, they traded away Chase Claypool last year. They need to build up the weapons for Kenny Pickett. So I got them going with Jalen Hyatt, the wide receiver out of Tennessee. Fast, speedy guy, can go up and down the football field. Also a really good route runner, and he's a guy that can hit the home run at any time. And he's like Devontae Smith. So, Pittsburgh with him there, with the other guys they have, Deontay Johnson, I think it's a good fit to get that number one wide receiver in Pittsburgh.
And then pick number 18. This is the second pick for the Detroit Lions. I have them selecting Christian Gonzalez, a defensive back from Oregon.
Oh, wow. For the Detroit Lions, I think for me, I believe I went low roll, if I'm not mistaken. I think for the Detroit Lions, I went with the cornerback in Christian Gonzalez. Or no, I went with the pass rusher in Tyree Wilson. For the Lions, second pick, it's tough because there's a lot of good defensive players that's already off the market. You know what? I'm going to go with Brian Branch. Fix that secondary. Brian Branch out of Alabama. He's a safety. He can play nickel. He makes a lot of sense for Detroit to help their defense get beefed up. And you address the defensive line, and then your second pick, you go secondary. So I think it's a very successful draft day for the Lions if they do that.
Let's go to pick number 19. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting Joey Porter Jr., a defensive back from Penn State.
That's a good pick, but for me, for the Buccaneers, and I can't believe he slid all the way to this pick, but I'm gonna go Broderick Jones out of the University of Georgia. They just picked up Tristan Wirfs's option, and he's going to be one of their building blocks in the offensive line. But whether it's Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask, you got to protect your quarterback. Tom Brady got hit a bunch last year because the offensive line was just beaten up, and the offensive line was just continuously hurt. So I think they need an offensive lineman. They can go linebacker with Nolan Smith. They could go edge as well. But Broderick Jones is the best player left on the board. I think Tampa Bay goes with the best player available.
All right. Next up, we go to pick number 20. I have the Seattle Seahawks. They get a USC guy. Pair with that USC alum and Pete Carroll. Tulu Tuipulotu, the defensive end from USC. Pete Carroll has had a history at that school. I would love to see him have a USC player on the Seahawks.
Wow, that's a good pick. But for me, I'm going to go with Michael Mayer, the tight end out of Notre Dame. You got Noah Fant. He's not really a productive pass-catching tight end. Michael Mayer is. And Pete Carroll has seen what a great scary pass-catching tight end can do for you. Look at George Kittle with the 49ers. If you pair Michael Mayer with Noah Fant, I think it's going to be a really scary duel, and I think that Pete Carroll wants to get his version of George Kittle. So give me Michael Mayer, the tight end out of Notre Dame, to Seattle.
Next up, we go to pick number 21. The Los Angeles Chargers, I think they really need to get beef on the defensive on the defensive side of the ball here. I got them going with Mozzie Smith, a defensive tackle from Michigan. You know what? I think Jerry Tillery didn't work out. I really think Mozzie Smith will work out in L.A.
I think the Chargers, Laurel, get ready for this. I think they will draft the replacement for Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler he's been engaged with contract talks with the Chargers. It hasn't gone well. He's requested a trade. I got the Chargers drafting Bijan Robinson, the running back out of Texas, to replace Austin Eckler and give Justin Herbert another dynamic weapon, this time out of the backfield. He's a power runner. He's a guy that can go left, right, in and out of the tackles. I just think it makes a lot of sense for the Chargers, given the whole uncertainty over the Eckler situation.
That might be that might be good there for the Chargers. If they get Bijan Robinson, I really think that he will be a good addition to the Chargers. I have Bijan Robinson falling in the draft, but I do see the Chargers getting him in the second round of my mock draft.
Yeah, and I think that it's a foregone conclusion that Eckler will be traded during this draft.
Next up, we got the Baltimore Ravens. For me, I think if Lamar stays, which I think he will, I have them getting a receiver. Kayshon Boutte, a wide receiver from LSU. You got to get receivers for Lamar Jackson, and if you get two or three outside receivers, Lamar Jackson, I think, is going to thrive.
This is going to be my craziest pick of this entire draft, and it's been loaded with crazy predictions already. And Ben, if you're watching, Justin, if you're watching, get ready. With what pick was it, Laurel? The 21st
22.
Pick? 22. I got the Ravens actually getting the 8th pick. Remember, I had Lamar traded to the Falcons with the 22nd pick in the 2023 NFL Draft. The Baltimore Ravens will select Stetson Bennett out of the University of Georgia. I think it's a pick. They need a quarterback. He's worked with Todd Monken, had a lot of success with Todd Monken, looked like a superstar with Todd Monken. I think right now he's projected to be a 4th-round pick. But what have we seen in the NFL? Players get overdrafted so much in today's league, and the Baltimore Ravens, that connection with Todd Monken, the Ravens don't want to let Stetson Bennett slide anywhere. They're going to go grab him in the second or late in the first round to help secure their franchise quarterback for the next decade.
Well, you got to go to pick 23. I mean, Steven might like this pick, Isaiah. With the 23rd pick, I think the Vikings need to get younger at secondary. I think that's one of the reasons why I think the Vikings need to go defense here, because you talk about them winning close games. It's because their defense was so bad. I have the Minnesota Vikings selecting Cam Smith, a defensive back from South Carolina.
Good pick, Laurel. I like that pick. I do agree with you. I think the the Vikings do need to go younger in the secondary. That's why I got them going with Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback out of Mississippi State. He's a guy that's athletic. He is excellent in man-to-man coverage. He's got great speed to run with the fast wide receivers. And a lot of the wide receivers nowadays, they're super, super fast. So give me Emmanuel Forbes to the Minnesota Vikings at this pick.
Next up, we are going to go to pick 24 here with the 24th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft. Isaiah's Jaguars select. I don't think they go offense here. I think they can go defense here. I think they're going to go with Max Melton, a defensive back from Rutgers. I think that you talk about building the secondary. I think the Jaguars do that. I know the Jags have enough weapons for Trevor Lawrence, especially Calvin Ridley and Evan Ingram and Travis Etienne. I do think that I think the Jaguars are going to pretty much nail this draft here, Isaiah. I have a feeling that they will, and they're going to be really, really good next year.
I got the Jacksonville Jaguars going with a pass rusher. What plagued them the loss against the Chiefs was a lack of pass rush, and we saw that time and time again last year. Give me Myles Murphy, stud pass rusher from Clemson, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars to help him pair him with Trayvon Walker and make their defensive line one of the best defensive lines in the NFL, and get that pass rush up to what it's supposed to be, where it can challenge the Chiefs, it can challenge the Jets, it can challenge the top teams in the AFC. Because like we've seen, Laurel, if you don't have a pass rush in the NFL, it doesn't matter how good your secondary or linebackers are, you won't win, because there's just so much good quarterbacks in the NFL, and you can't give them all day to throw the football.
No, you can't give them all day to throw the football here, but I really think that the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think, how good can they be? I really think Trevor Lawrence and that offense led by Doug Peterson, you better watch out. They're in for great things this year.
Yeah, they are, especially if they can fix that defense. I think their offense is fine. The protection, you can get some more protection, but I think the offense is fine. The defense for me is going to be the key, just because when you look at their defense, they couldn't really get after the quarterback. And I think that if you can't get after the quarterback, you're not going to win in the NFL.
Let's go to 25. You predicted the New York Football Giants to win the division. I think they're going to pick Devon Weatherspoon, a defensive back from Illinois.
I got Cam Smith going to the New York Giants. The New York Giants secondary was old last year. They were beaten up, and they were exposed big time against the Philadelphia Eagles. And they need to improve that secondary. They got to get younger. He's the top, one of the top defensive players left on the board. And I think he would be a good fit with Brian Daboll and the New York Giants defense.
Let's go to pick 26. I have the Dallas Cowboys selecting Jordan Addison, a wide receiver from USC. You know what? I really think the Cowboys need receiver help along with CeeDee Lamb. And Michael Gallup, to me, is not a number one receiver.
No, he's not. And, I'm thinking about this pick. I'm thinking hard about this pick, because there's a lot of ways the Cowboys could go. And, Jerry Jones loves his shiny toys. So, actually, Laurel, I'm actually going to go. I got the Cowboys trading this pick to the Denver Broncos for Jerry Jeudy. There's been a lot of smoke around Jeudy, and Jeudy is available, and Jerry Jones likes his shiny toys. He needs a proven target for Dak Prescott outside of CeeDee Lamb. Jeudy's fast. He's a great pass catcher, and the wide receivers at this point in my mock draft are off the board. So give me Jerry Jeudy to Dallas in a trade that sends this pick number 26, to the Denver Broncos. And with that pick, I think the Denver Broncos go out and they get B.J. Ojulari, the edge rusher out of LSU, to help with their pass rush, and to help replace the guys that they lost in free agency.
Next up for pick 27, I think Josh Allen I think you get a receiver that can complement Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. I have the Buffalo Bills selecting Zay Flowers, a wide receiver from Boston College.
I got the Buffalo Bills getting a tight end. I think that Dawson Knox is good, but if you have a chance to select Dalton Kincaid, who is one of the better pass-catching tight ends that's been in the draft in recent memory, I think you do it. The Bills have been really good. They have really good running backs. They have really good wide receivers. Imagine them with a threat at tight end. I think that would really scare defenses across the league. So give me Dalton Kincaid to the Buffalo Bills with this 27th pick.
Well, we go to pick 28. I think the Bengals need a tight end because they haven't had a good tight end since C.J. Uzama's departure. I have the Cincinnati Bengals selecting Michael Mayer, a tight end from Notre Dame.
For me, I got the Cincinnati Bengals drafting Deontay Banks, cornerback out of Michigan, out of Maryland. I mean, they need some secondary help. Their defense was decent last year. It wasn't bad, but it still could be improved. And I think you improve the secondary, I think it'll go a long way to helping, especially with Eli Apple there. You're not going to rely on Eli Apple on a consistent basis because he's always getting torched. Give me Deontay Banks as Eli Apple's replacement.
Let's go to pick 29. I have the New Orleans Saints selecting Drew Sanders, a linebacker from Arkansas. And I really think that the Saints really need to beef up defensively because I know their defense last year was terrible.
I got the New Orleans Saints. Again, with this pick, you can go pretty much anywhere with this pick because, yeah, the Saints got Derek Carr, but they can go offense, they can go defense. You know what? I'm trying to look at the board right now. I'm gonna go. They have Alvin Kamara there as well. I think Loro. I'm gonna go with probably Will McDonald, the edge rusher out of Iowa State. This is a guy that he's a really good pass rusher, one of the better pass rushers in the Big 12 last season. And the Saints, they lost Marcus Davenport. They need pass rush, and they need to fix that defense because that defense was not that good last season. So give me the pass rusher out of Iowa State to replace Marcus Davenport.
Well, we go to pick 30. I have an Alabama reunion on the Eagles offense. I have the Philadelphia Eagles selecting Jahmyr Gibbs, a running back from Alabama.
I agree. Jahmyr Gibbs will be a Philadelphia Eagle. The Eagles don't really have a lot of needs. I got them selecting a cornerback, Christian Gonzalez. I have them selecting a cornerback, Christian Gonzalez, with that 10th overall pick. Give me Jahmyr Gibbs, fast guy, Jalen Hurts and him. You got speed all over the place there. It's going to be a really, really fun offense to watch there in Philadelphia.
Let's go to pick 31. I have the Kansas City Chiefs selecting Jacob Hyatt, a wide receiver from Tennessee. I didn't think the Chiefs receiving core was great last year. I really think you got to get a Tyreek Hill replacement here.
Yeah, I think that can make sense. He's a guy that's fast as well. So, with him being really, really fast, that's a guy that could take the top off that defense. So that does make a lot of sense. For me, I had a lot of the receivers already get off the board. You know what? I'm trying to look at who's left. I'm going to go with a defensive player. I think that they take a defensive player because they know they need to fix their defense. For the Chiefs, give me Mozzie Smith, special athlete, 337-pound nose tackle. He's a guy that could be a Dontari Poe type of a guy. He's a guy that could, punish people up the middle and open up pass rushing lanes for Chris Jones and other top pass rushers that they have there. So give me Mozzie Smith out of Michigan to the Chiefs.
Anyways, folks, it's been a great, great show here. And Isaiah, what are your final thoughts?
Laurel, my final thoughts is it was a great show. Great to have you and Ben back to do the program tonight. Congratulations to D'Angelo Russell and our Lakers on the big win tonight. Hopefully we can go back to Memphis and wrap this up in Game 5. But, man, we're going to have a great week, man. You got the NFL draft coming up. You got possible trades going to go down. You got the NBA playoffs. Bucks are on the ropes. Lakers are on the brink of eliminating the Grizzlies. Warriors and Kings are coming up soon. I mean, baseball action as well. We got a lot of stuff going on this upcoming week. This is going to be the craziest week in sports for us, man, and I can't wait, man. It sucks that we won't be doing an NFL draft show because we all have to work that day, but I'm looking forward to see what craziness goes down in this draft. And for Trey Lance's sake, I just hope, for him, he gets put into a great situation where he can actually develop and thrive.
Well, good news about one of your teams, since the A's are not so good, 5-18. The Philadelphia Phillies have won 3 straight games, and they are 11-12. They're a game under 500, which I really think that this Phillies team can really pick it up now that they're getting guys healthy.
Yeah, and guys like Castellanos, Bryson Stott are stepping up. Alec Boehm, even though he has faltered recently, he was red hot early. But it's the bullpen. Craig Kimbrell, I think, has established himself now as the closer of the Phillies, especially after Sir Anthony Dominguez has struggled, Gregory Soto has struggled, Jose Alvarado has been up and down. Craig Kimbrell might be the guy in Philadelphia to slam the door in the 9th inning.
Is he pretty much doing better in Philadelphia?
He's doing better, I would say, but he's still not that shutdown closer that he was back when he was with the Braves and the Padres and also the Red Sox. But he's doing a lot better.
Well, and then, my MLB The Show League, I can't wait to play the Dodgers and Phillies in my June calendar because I want to play the Phillies lineup when they're actually healthy with Harper and Hoskins in that lineup.
Yeah, and I think that for the Phillies, they need to turn it on now because they are going into a tougher schedule soon with the Braves coming up, the Astros coming up, the Mariners are coming up soon. So the Phillies got to get their act together and start playing better baseball because if they don't,
the Phillies, I'm looking at their calendar. Next week, your Phillies play my Dodgers.
Yep, Astros, Dodgers, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Mets. I mean, good Lord, Braves as well. Yikes.
I can't wait for when my Dodgers come to Citizens Bank Park. That's one of my favorite ballparks that I get to see my Dodgers play in. Yep. You get the view of Philadelphia. Every time the Phillies hit a home run, the Liberty Bell rings. But when is Bryce Harper coming back?
I don't know, but it should be soon because there's talk that he might not even have to get rehab games under his belt. So it's gonna be soon. And when he comes back, man, I hope he's back for the Phillies tough schedule against the Braves, the Nationals, the Dodgers, all that stuff. I hope he's back then because we're gonna need him in that tough schedule.
Oh, you do. For Isaiah Leung, Lauro Antonio, have a great night, and we'll talk to you then.
But I said, if you gave me Mahomes, if you gave me Lamar Jackson with his great legs and Mahomes' great arm, or you gave me Baker Mayfield, who would I want? I would want Baker Mayfield, and the reason why is because Baker Mayfield...
I really think that now this is the worst case scenario for the San Francisco 49ers, is that they're going to have to cut ties with Jimmy Garoppolo if I were them.
What? Oh my God! Wow, man!
In any event, Kyle Gibson is definitely my NL Cy Young Award winner. Rock on, Giddy. And even
No way! Oh my God!